It's all on video.
There's a reason it's called the war on crime. For the next 60 minutes, we'll put you on the front lines. You'll see the scariest pursuits, wildest shootouts, and most outrageous outlaws from around the world. Much of this footage has never been seen before. We've gathered these stories from police.
What do we need to take him out here now?
News agencies, even citizens on patrol, to show you the stark reality that criminals have declared you the enemy. And knowing your opponent is the only way this war will be won.
I'm Sheriff John Bonnell. Going on patrol is like launching an offensive without knowing your opponent. Criminals come in all shapes and sizes, which means police have to consider everyone they encounter a possible threat. Because as you're about to see, every one of them can turn deadly in a heartbeat.
Livingston, Texas. 911 calls are pouring in about this pickup gone wild. He's already mowed over 2 mailboxes and forced several vehicles off the street. And when Deputy Patrick Merrick races ahead to strategically block the menace, he veers into opposing lanes, speeding beside the patrol car and sending approaching drivers into panic mode. Tries to cut him off again. And this time, the perp gets punchy, cramming the cruiser from behind. A responding officer rushes to the scene from the opposite direction and finds himself in the line of fire. Converging units can tell that this guy won't stop for anything less than a roadblock. And even that might not be enough. The suspect doesn't flinch as he glances off one squad car and slams head-on into Sergeant Phil Waller at 50 miles per hour. Behind Waller, another patrolman sees the devastating impact as it leaves the 2 vehicles locked in an ugly, twisted mess. Police charge the door of the pickup and pull the outlaw from the wreckage. He's dragged into the clear, while on the other side, fellow officers work like mad to free Waller from his crumpled car. He's unconscious, and his leg is broken in 3 places. He will recover, but the runner does not survive the crushing impact. His erratic behavior was due to a blend of prescription pills. But when the drugs combined with a high-speed joyride, it was a prescription for disaster. La Paz, Bolivia. Police try to defuse a violent domestic dispute. A husband has stabbed his wife several times and now threatens to finish the job. So when he won't listen to reason, they try for a different breakthrough. When they force the door open, an ominous hiss makes them hesitate. But with the woman's life on the line, they forge ahead, unaware how volatile the situation actually is. hiss was the husband's sinister plot as he opened a gas tank. And when cops burst in, he flicked a match, making this raid a barn burner. Anyone not blown off their feet flees from the scalding blast. But incredibly, officers race back into the fire, saving the smoldering man and his battered wife. The woman suffers third-degree burns along with her stab wounds. And her destructive partner is even worse off from standing at the flashpoint of the explosion. The fireball also destroys their home and leaves 7 lawmen with minor injuries. All because this hot-headed husband let his temper flare, sending more than his marriage up in smoke. Cincinnati, Ohio. There are certain moves you never want to make as a driver. And cutting off a policeman is high on the list. And it's even worse to do it when you have warrants for probation violation. But Randy Ward is hoping he can hide his identity from Officer Greg Toiez.
Hi, sir. The reason why I'm pulling you over is you cut me off back there. There's 2 lanes that turn there.
It's a situation that will quickly go bad.
Do you have your driver's license, please? I don't have it on me. What's your social security number, please? I don't know my social security number. I don't have the high school. You have nothing?
Toiez may not know who this guy is, but he knows one thing.
Turn the vehicle off, please.
He can't let him drive.
Go ahead and open the door. Come on out to my car. You don't have anything on you, do you? I don't have a driver's license.
And that's when this mystery man starts to show his true colors. Toiez grabs the keys before the fidgety motorist can bolt. But he's going for something besides the ignition. And it's not his registration. Ward has a pistol in his belt. He's lucky he doesn't get shot as he hops out and sprints away through the parking lot. Nearby, Officer Cheyenne Schneider responds, anticipating the man's route toward a nearby yard. Ward arrives at the location, just as Schneider pulls in next to a city maintenance crew. And when the perp sees the cop, he tries to carjack a utility truck. Workers flee in terror as Schneider races in with her taser and delivers 50,000 volts. But Ward fights to get the truck in gear and shield himself from the electric assault. The officer won't let him off that easy. Meanwhile, an unmarked unit arrives on the street as backup, and patrolmen on foot charge in from the rear. Against numbers like these, the gunman decides to pull his equalizer and unload. When Schneider spies a glint of steel, she clears the line for her partner, who have no choice but to try neutralizing the car thief.
Got him. Incapacitated in the white truck.
The workers see the grisly aftermath and can tell the suspect has not survived. This was a man whose mistakes could easily have been fixed.
Do you have your driver's license, please? I don't have it on me.
But he compounded his problems with violent defiance. And instead of paying with a little money or time, he chose to pay in blood.
Got him. Incapacitated in the white truck.
Coming up
Oh, he's skidding. Look out!
on World's Wildest Police Videos, a birthday suit bandit
I'm gonna do it again. I need you to...
aims a bare-knuckled attack at a female officer.
Yeah.
A supermarket robber gets bagged by a gutsy customer. And a dangerous driver has a blind spot for disaster.
Is anybody in this area? I need some help.
Plus, a murderous maniac wants to destroy everything and everyone who gets in his way. Next.
Officers are taught many ways to subdue a suspect, from pepper spray to tasers. But just as important as knowing how to use these things is knowing when. The choice to use non-lethal measures or deadly force is the most critical decision an officer will ever make.
Austin, Texas. Officer Jamie Haver responds to an outrageous call. A buck-naked brute, high on drugs, is trying to muscle past women at a daycare center.
Sir!
When Haver can't talk the nude dude down from his tantrum,
Stay down on the ground!
she gives him an electric spanking.
Everyone in here has one case on the ground. I need you at 1018.
The ladies retreat to their car as the wild man thrashes in pain.
I'm gonna do it again.
But when he pulls the taser barbs free,
Come on now. Don't do it. Stop it.
he's back on his drug-addled agenda. And his naked aggression turns into a balls-out attack.
All right.
With no rhyme or reason to his actions,
I need you at 1018. 1018.
the maniac cold cocks her with 2 vicious blows to the face. Then, as reinforcements race in, the crazed attacker charges the 2 women. One flees around her SUV with her kid now in her arms until the fiend snags her by the neck. Her panicked friend sees the mom in trouble, and she storms back, yanking the child free. As officers struggle with the incoherent rager, somehow he breaks loose and tries bashing through the daycare door again.
Get down. Get down. Stop resisting.
Avoiding lethal force, the lawmen try tasers once more. This time, the jolts stop him in his tracks. But now, the hopped-up man baby realizes he's outnumbered and finally takes his time out. With him subdued, Corporal Haver takes a moment to collect her emotions. She knows how close this random drug-crazed attack came to turning fatal.
No, I'm gonna shut them.
The thug is convicted of assault on a public servant, and now he's getting zapped with 7 years of hard time. It was a situation no officer wants to face. An uncontrollable madman targeting kids and cops.
Come on now. All right.
Thankfully, non-lethal restraint kept a savage attack from escalating into a deadly show of force. Tulsa, Oklahoma. A local chain of food stores has had a recent string of robberies, and they're about to ring up another one. This is Tony Cleveland, who's been doing those holdups with ruthless efficiency. Tony comes in waving his gun and barking orders. He quickly herds the customers and clerks to the front. This guy isn't fast enough, so Cleveland sends a bullet past his head. The quick trigger crook has these victims worried they could be headed for a permanent checkout. So just as they're almost corralled, one guy suddenly knocks the gun away. and tries to bag this shady shopper. Greg Stutzman gives the thug a yank and fights to keep him contained. Cleveland gets to his feet, but Greg puts him back on his ass. No matter how hard the crook fights, Greg refuses to let go. But with an employee calling 911, Cleveland gets an extra boost of adrenaline. He starts to break loose, dragging the fight further outside. But a customer provides just enough distraction for Greg to regain the upper hand. And the old employee puts a boot-shaped hole in Cleveland's determination. Finally, Tulsa's finest arrive on the scene.
Henry 241, do you have the subject in custody?
And the grocery store bandit gets the express lane to prison, where he's sentenced to 47 years. He thought supermarkets were super easy targets. But when he showed his lethal potential, one man showed his killer instincts and made sure this food store criminal would get left to rot in the can. In Weaverville, Michigan, an SUV's afternoon commute becomes the highway to hell.
Is anybody in this area? I need some help.
As a car merges from the right, this motorist forgets to check his blind spot and delivers a catastrophic hit. The frightened woman overcorrects the steering, and the top-heavy ride barrel rolls half a dozen times across the asphalt. Amazingly, she'll escape with minor injuries. But the man at fault tries to escape too, with hit and run.
Okay, that vehicle just took off.
He's later caught and sent to jail after he made a classic mistake. And then rolled it into a felony. Just ahead, on world's wildest police videos, a chicken joint manager jumps a cocky crook. A hot-headed vandal cools off in the drink. And later, a fool on a forklift is about to dig his own grave. Next.
Officers know what it's like to deal with desperate people. A cornered crook is capable of incredible resistance. But what many criminals don't realize is that a cornered citizen is capable of the same. And you'd be amazed how well people can fight back.
In Statesville, North Carolina, a chicken joint is getting plucked. This restaurant manager was locking up for the night when a masked gunman stormed in and demanded he open the safe.
Wait a second. You got one more spin.
Now he's in a real pressure cooker.
One more spin. It's 95. You got one more spin and I'm shooting. Get the damn thing moving, man, right now.
The worker tries to put this guy's rage on simmer.
I swear to God, you got me nervous as hell.
But he's not stalling just from fear.
One more spin and I'm shooting.
He's looking for the right moment
All right, I'll give you the combination. You want to try? I don't want the combination. All right.
to batter this bird.
Give me a chance.
The robber looks away for a split second, and the manager grabs for the gun. The fight spills into the kitchen as they grapple over the weapon. But this greasy arena is the chicken man's home floor, and soon he's kicking this guy's nuggets. The thief never imagined he'd get served a bucket of ass whooping. Finally, the manager cuts him a break. Realizing he's beat, the perp lets himself get escorted to the exit and promptly flies the coop.
One more spin and I'm shooting.
But this employee proved that when your life is in the crosshairs, even a working stiff can work a bad guy to the bone. Another day in Mineola, Florida, an officer spots a hot-dogging motorcyclist who promptly hits the throttle and blows right through a stop sign. As the rider races past a construction zone, he gets an idea. One quick U-ey through this mess should spring him for good. But there's one roadblock he isn't counting on. A ticked-off foreman creams the barreling biker with a barrel. The stunned cyclist isn't even sure what happened. Fortunately, the cop will explain it on the way to the slammer. But in Elyria, Ohio, a store clerk packs even stiffer punishment. A gunman tries to bash his way into the office, unaware that the woman has a little pop of her own. And when he breaks through her first line of defense, the second is a doozy. The instant he's in the room, she blasts him in the gut. The wounded thief runs for his life, and the lady hits the silent alarm. But she's in the clear. He'll soon trade in his weapon for a hospital bed. It's a reminder to every crook out there. It really is you against the world. And the citizen posse can strike when you least expect it, ending your run for good. Houston, Texas. This fleeing driver was just spotted smashing car windows in a dealer's lot.
Looks like he's slowing down.
Now, as officers catch up on the freeway, his destructive ways take an even more violent turn.
Oh, he's going the wrong way.
The vandal doubles back on the interstate. He splits trailing units
Look at that, right between them.
and bolts into the open. But as he speeds up to 100 miles an hour,
We get traffic up ahead.
the opening starts to close. And he's about to smash more than just a window.
Oh, he's skidding. Look out. Big crash. He spins across the freeway.
A near miss makes him jerk the wheel. He avoids the center wall, but not an SUV in the fast lane. Luckily, the other driver isn't as battered as his vehicle. The suspect's trunk has been nearly sheared off, but with the engine still intact, he actually tries to take off again.
This is unbelievable.
He doesn't realize his back wheel is jammed at a 45-degree angle until it throws him off the road
He's losing it toward the ditch.
and into the drink. Now cops will hang him out to dry. This guy made a mess wherever he went. And he did it just for the thrill.
We get traffic up ahead.
But the one place he did the most damage
Big crash. He spins across the freeway.
was his rap sheet. Still to come on World's Wildest Police Videos.
He's gonna lose control.
You don't want to miss the most drunken cowpokes to ever fall flat on the range. And a forklifting felon makes a graveyard rest in pieces. The monstrous hits keep coming. Next
on trend.
Mansfield, England. Criminals can be shockingly over the top.
Kev, where is he?
But this one is as audacious as they come.
Just arrived on scene. We are videoing.
Working for an organized crime ring, Stephen Regan thought it was a good idea to steal this supersized forklift. Big mistake. Cops watch his every move. From the helicopter to a traffic cam as he barrels down a busy street and out onto a country road. Then, Regan blazes a new path.
Vehicle is now off-road, Zuckerfest Town.
He blows through a gate
Vehicle is now off-road, 816. Off-road, Zuckerfest Town.
and tears across a farm. But what the brazen fool does next
He's taken down a hedge.
is one of the sleaziest moves cops have ever seen.
He's heading into the cemetery.
He careens through a historic graveyard and desecrates people's burial sites.
He's knocked down a handful of gravestones.
Regan pilots the rig back onto the road, blasting through an antique gate. Fortunately, he's not going far.
Yeah, he's lost the front right tyre.
One of the tombstones ripped a tire to shreds. His ride grinds to a stop, and before he can cause any more trouble, a cop greets him with a can of mace. Officers pile on, ending this heavy metal demolition derby for good.
Yeah, he's out. Officers are with him. Male detained.
After blazing this senseless path of destruction, Stephen Regan will serve 4.5 years behind bars. This dope never stood a chance, but at every turn, he sank to new lows hoping to escape. And in the end, he dug himself a hole that left him buried. Austin, Texas. On this busy boulevard, two men are causing gridlock while sitting on a horse and a donkey. Unfortunately, these cowboys are riding high on something besides their steeds. Police suspect the two men, Samuel Olivo and Jose Rios of DWI. Because even if their low horsepower vehicles don't run on gas, it's illegal for the operators to be tanked. Authorities take the reins and submit both culprits to sobriety tests.
So you'll beat her in a straight line, huh?
Rios struggles with every step. Meanwhile, his buddy Olivo is in even worse shape.
Hang on, dude. Hey, do you have any kind of medical condition?
I was a head injury.
You had a head injury?
Yes.
What kind of head injury did you have?
I died.
You died?
Yeah.
Now that's a once-in-a-lifetime excuse.
Did you come back?
Yeah.
So what kind of long-term effects do you have?
For life.
Okay, but what's wrong with you right now?
Everything.
For someone who died, he looks pretty good. But for a guy trying to prove he's sober, not so much. No matter how many chances he gets, Olivo can't walk a straight line or tell a straight story.
Well, if you fall off the horse, you're going to bust your head open, huh?
No, not me.
Clearly, neither buckaroo is in any condition to be mounting up. So they're both wrangled off to the drunk tank. Later, cops drop the DWI charges, but still book the two for public intoxication. Because when this horse and donkey show took to the streets,
Hang on, dude.
the riders came off
I died.
like jackasses. Up next, on World's Wildest Police Videos, a political candidate meets a real butthead. And
Over 100 miles an hour.
a female runner plays hard to get,
She's gonna lose control.
then flips for her pursuer.
Political events are a hotbed for confrontation. With so many strong opinions and opposing viewpoints, cops have to be on their guard. Because all too often, different sides go from fighting for their cause to just plain fighting.
Bursa, Turkey. A politician is winning over the crowd at a public rally.
Buna da yanıt yok. Kimyasal kullanıldığına dair.
In this region of the country, his arguments for a separate Kurdish state are popular.
Oradaki bölgedeki sandığa gidin.
But a few pro-nationalists disagree with his opinion. And he's about to get a painful rebuttal. Out of nowhere, a protester bashes him with a head-first strike. Supporters rush in to retaliate, piling into a heap of flailing body parts. The battle spills off the stage, throwing the assembly into utter chaos. Zealots from both sides of the issue thrash violently inside a tight cluster. Outside the political mosh pit, onlookers bustle for a glimpse of the action. Until police arrive to restore order. By the time they make it to the center of the melee, the injured speaker has been rushed out of harm's way. But his attacker isn't as lucky. Lawmen struggle to keep the crowd from killing him. They whisk him away, looking like a bloody mess. He'll have to answer for his crime eventually, but he's already taken plenty of punishment. With the way he butted heads on the issues, the numbskull nearly turned a rally into a riot. Thankfully, peacekeepers came in to save him. And maybe now, he'll just ask the hard-hitting questions.
She is really moving.
Los Angeles, California, home of the high-speed chase.
We are doing over 100 miles an hour.
A female burglary suspect is trying to disappear into the night.
She's totally blacked out, so these people do not know what's happening.
With her headlights off,
A motorcycle almost gets sideswiped.
other motorists can't see the horror show that's headed their way.
Well, you can see here comes another motorcycle. She's gonna go right between the car and the motorcycle.
Just one innocent person changing lanes could cause freeway Armageddon. But suddenly, she goes really lights out.
She's gonna lose control. Here she goes, up on the side of the car. The car's rolling over and over. I think a fence stopped her.
Her own hard swerve triggers a fishtail. She rolls in a tornado of debris until she slams a cyclone fence and flops to a halt.
Unbelievable. That was an extremely violent collision.
Police are quickly on the scene.
Officers now approaching with their guns drawn.
The woman has survived,
Code 4, pursuit's over.
and now this thief can start getting used to being fenced in.
She is really moving.
She thought she could steal someone's things, then steal away into the darkness. But all she did was blind herself
Here she goes, on the side of the car. The car's rolling over and
to disaster.
that was an extremely violent collision.
Coming up on World's Wildest Police Videos, it's the unbelievable story of a homicidal madman who's determined to kill or be killed. The deadly spree is coming your way next.
Domestic violence situations bring out some of the most intense emotions the police ever encounter. It can be frightening how quickly some of these incidents turn deadly. And the only thing worse than homicidal rage in the home is when that anger spills into the streets.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan, police spot a man named Robert Dantzler riding shotgun in this SUV. The driver, a friend, has no idea Dantzler's been on a killing spree until this pullover gets him kicked to the curb. Dantzler shoves his pal out and floors it, knowing police will do anything to stop him. After all, he shot and killed 7 people today, including his wife, his daughter, an ex-girlfriend, and her family. Now he's ready to add to his tally. When a cop races in for the hit, he's met with a blast of lead. The .40 caliber slugs barely missed the officer. The second hit sends the killer reeling. But somehow, he recovers and plows toward oncoming traffic. Dantzler cuts left and fires backward, sending a cop swerving for his life and careening onto the sidewalk. With every left turn, he opens fire at the cruisers behind him. Then the cops catch a break. They get him with spike strips. But Dantzler doesn't even seem to notice. He heads for the freeway. At these speeds, the murderer's punctured tires are rapidly shredding. But incredibly, he still isn't slowing down. Suddenly, his twisted mind sways from homicidal to suicidal. He makes a hard turn in his wobbly SUV, right in front of a semi. The 18-wheeler crashes. But Dantzler once again recovers. And in a cloud of dust, he roars up an on-ramp to another freeway.
Southbound.
Despite his tires being in tatters, he bulldozes across the divider into opposite lanes. It's like an automotive shooting gallery. If this was anyone but a mass murderer, police wouldn't dare risk following. Cars have virtually no warning as they veer wildly to avoid a head-on collision. But with his engine sputtering, Dantzler plots one final psychotic act. He plows into a stand of trees. And as SWAT officers mobilize to bag him, he beats them to it. With a single shot to the head.
1050, 261, give me an ambulance.
For cops, this incident was a worst-case scenario. Attempt a blatantly dangerous chase and risk innocent casualties, or let a murderer get away and continue his bloodbath. Their choice proved to be the right one. And Dantzler's deadly spree was snuffed out. Criminals like to think they have the upper hand. But with fearless cops and diligent citizens, when it's all said and done, even the most brutal thugs eventually get justice.
Here she goes, on the side of the car. The car's rolling over.
One way or another.